Whenever you learn about matrices and don't multiply them, we can still say you haven't learned much about matrices. Well, not because it's hard, we can only because it's very important. Okay, so in today's lesson, we're going to look at matrix multiplication. It is very, very important. Please pay attention here and please stay as I explain how do you multiply the matrices. It is very important and it is very useful in today's world where we have different engineers and different things happening. Before we multiply any matrix, what you have to do, the first thing is you have to check the dimension. Please make sure you understand it. You have to check the dimension. Given a matrix, you name a matrix A, which is row times column. Okay, first name the matrices. Okay, then we have another matrix B, row times the column. Okay, so the first thing is you have to do is you have to check the dimensions. Okay, so the number of columns of the first matrix should be equal to the number of rows of the second matrix. Okay, so let's say a matrix in this case is 3 by 3. Okay, so this is the matrix A and the other matrix is B. Okay, let's say it's 3 by 1. Okay, so what do you do if you want to see if you can multiply them? You just write these numbers, okay, together, 3 by 3, and you want to multiply it by 3 by 1. Okay, so if these middle numbers, okay, if these middle numbers are the same, this means that that's only when you can multiply. If they are not the same, this number and this number are not the same. Let's say we have a 3 by 3 is being multiplied to a 2 by 3. Okay, these middle numbers, they are not the same. You cannot multiply these matrices. Please make sure you cannot multiply these matrices. Okay, so remember that. Okay, so this is the first dimension you have to check, and your answer. Okay, your answer, if you have checked these numbers, your answer should be the remaining ones. Okay, so in this case, you're going to get 3 by 1. Okay, so this becomes our answer. Our matrix is going to be a 3 by 1 matrices. Make sure you remember this. The first thing is you have to check these middle elements. The number of columns of the first matrix should be equal to the number of rows of the second matrix. Okay, and the remaining one, okay, this is the size you get. Okay, in this case, you cannot multiply these matrices. Okay, so that was that on dimensions. Make sure you are able to check the dimensions before you multiply any matrices. Before we get into numbers, let me first explain how multiplication works. Okay, so the first thing is I'm going to be using letters here. Let's say we have a matrix A. In this case, it has elements A, B, C, D. Okay, and the another matrix C, and it has the elements E and F. Okay, in this case. Okay, so in this case, the first thing you have to do is you have to check the size. The size of this matrix is a 2 by 2. And the size of this one is a 2 by 1. Okay, you can see that it has 2 rows and 1 column. Okay, so it's a 2 by 1. Okay, so in this case, you can see that these numbers are the same. Okay, so this means that you can multiply these matrices. This is the first rule. Okay, so what we're going to be doing in multiplication, we're going to be our AC. Okay, so this is our matrix, is the answer. We're going to take this row, the first row of the first matrix, and multiply it with the first column. Okay, so this is how we go get the first element. Okay, so the first element you are going to get here is we're going to multiply this row, the first row, and the first column. Okay, then the second thing we're going to do, we're going to multiply the second row and the first column. Okay, so this is how we multiply. Okay, so you are going to multiply. Okay, so you multiply like this. Remember, you have two matrices, A, B, C, D, and we have another matrix here. We are multiplying them E, F. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take this row and multiply it with this column. Okay, so multiplication is going to be A times E and then plus B times F, like this. Okay, then you go on. If there is another column here, you're going to multiply again. This will be the first number of this. And if there is another column here, you're going to multiply from this again and go down here the same way. Okay, and after that, you're going to take this row again and do this. Okay, so the multiplication is you're going to multiply row multiplied by the column. Okay, so this is how we multiply. Now let's take a look at an example. I think that way you can understand better. It's multiplying the row with the column. Now let's understand the step-by-step example. We have an example where we are going to multiply 2 by 2 matrices. Okay, so let's say we have a matrix here. I'm going to use P. Okay, we have a matrix 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, this is our first matrix, and our second matrix Q. Okay, it is a 2 by 2 again. It has numbers 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so what we're going to do here, we're going to multiply this to find P, Q. Okay, so please pay attention. The first thing is we are going to look at the order. Here we can see the order. In this case, these middle numbers are the same. A 2 by 2 matrix multiplied by a 2 by 2 matrix. These numbers are the same. You can multiply them. Okay, so this is the first check. The second step now, we have to multiply. And you know that our answer you're going to get is a 2 by 2. The remaining numbers is the answer we're going to get. Okay, please, you can use that to check if you have done it correctly. Now, let's put our matrix here and start our multiplication. So the first thing is you're going to take this row and multiply it with this first column. Okay, this means that we're going to say 1 multiplied by 5, we're going to get a 5 here. Okay, let me write all of it. 1 multiplied by 5. Okay, then you're going to say plus. In this case, 2 multiplied by 7. Okay, so this is the first element of our resultant matrix. Okay, so this will be the first element. And now we're going to do the same again, this row again with this column in this case now. Okay, so what we're going to do next, we're going to say 1 multiplied by 6, then 2 multiplied by 8 plus 2 multiplied by 8. Okay, then this is our second term of this. Okay, now the next step, we're going to take another row again. This is the row we're going to take and multiply it with this column again. Okay, in the same order. Okay, so remember this first number with this first letter. Okay, so we're going to take this again and this. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to say 3 multiplied by 5. Okay, and now we're going to say 4 multiplied by 7 plus 4 multiplied by 7. And next we're going to say 3 multiplied by 6. Okay, we have this row again and this last column. 3 multiplied by 6. Okay, and we're going to say plus 4 multiplied by 8. Okay, so this is how we multiply. Okay, now our duty is just to add here. 1 times 5, we're going to get 5 plus 2 times 7, we're going to get 14. And here we're going to get 1 times 6, we're going to get 6 plus, and 2 times 8, we're going to get 16. And here we're going to say 3 times 5, we're going to get 15. And 4 times 7, we're going to get 28. Then here, 3 times 6, we're going to get 18 plus, and 4 times 8, we're going to get 32. Okay, so this is it. Now, after that, we just have to add 5 plus 14 is 19. 6 plus 16 is 22. Then 15 plus 28, we're going to get 43 here. Then after that, we're going to say 18 plus 32. 18 plus 32, we're going to get 50 here. Okay, so this is it. This will be our answer. Multiplying this will give these two. Now remember, you're going to multiply each row and each column, to get these numbers. Okay, so this was on multiplication of matrices. Now I'm going to do another example on multiplication. If you haven't understand this, please wait for another example where we're going to understand. We're going to be multiplying a matrix 2 by 3 and multiplying it by a 3 by 1. Okay, so the first thing is you are going to do is you are going to check if they are eligible for multiplication. In this case, you can see this number is the same as this. This means that they can multiply. Okay, so the number is the same. Okay, so let me give you a matrix A, which is a 2 by 3. Okay, so a 2 by 3, a matrix like this: 1, 2, 3, minus 1, minus 2, minus 3. Okay, so this is my matrix, my A matrix, which is a 2 by 3, 2 rows, 3 columns. Okay, and another matrix which is B, which is a 3 by 1. Okay, so a 3 by 1, I'm going to use a matrix minus 1, 0, 2. Okay, so this is it. Okay, so these are my matrices, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply them. Okay, so I checked that they are eligible for multiplication. Now our duty is just to multiply. Okay, so I'm saying matrix A multiplied by matrix B. What we're going to do is you're going to write the first matrix 1, 2, 3, and the second matrix is minus 1, minus 2, minus 3. Okay, remember that the matrix you are going to get is a 2 by 1. Remember that it's a 2 by 1, a matrix you are going to get the remaining numbers. Okay, so and we are going to put our matrix B here. It's going to come minus 1, 0, minus 2. Okay, so this is our matrix. Okay, so now our duty is just to multiply. Okay, so we're going to multiply this row and this column like this row and the column. Okay, and after that we're going to multiply this row and this column again. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to say 1 times minus 1, we're going to get a 1 times minus 1, then plus 2 times 0, we're going to get 2 times 0, then here 3 times minus 2, Then now we're going to get, say, minus 1 times minus 1, minus 1 times minus 1, then here minus 2 times 0, then here minus 3 times minus 2. Okay, so this is it. We have quickly multiplied our matrix. Now our duty is just to add here. We're going to say 1 times minus 1, we're going to get minus 1, plus, then 2 times 0, we're going to get 0. Then here 3 times minus 2, we're going to get minus 6. Then here we're going to say minus 1 times minus 1, we're going to get 1. Then here minus 2 times 0, we're going to get 0. Then here minus 3 plus minus 3 times minus 2, we're going to get 6. Okay, so this becomes our answer. Our duty is just to add this. Okay, so minus 1 plus 0 minus 6 is going to become minus 7. And here 1 plus 6 is going to become 7. Okay, so our answer becomes 7 minus 7. Okay, so you can see that this matrix is a 2 by 1 like I predicted here. Okay, so this is how we multiply matrices. It's just row times column. Okay, so to get the hang of this, you just have to practice more. Please practice more matrices so that you won't miss it. Okay, just write your numbers and multiply them and check out if you have done any errors, and you can look at books where you can understand. Now, the next part, I'm going to tell you why did you do this, where can we use this, and how do we use this. Matrix multiplication is very important, and in this case we have a question which is saying why multiply matrices. Okay, so we use it in many cases. The first case is transformation. Okay, so when you want to transform a coordinate from one position to another in a Cartesian plane, you can use a matrix multiplication in rotation and scaling. Okay, this is very easy, matrix multiplication. Then the other thing is in linear system. When we have equations and something like that, we can multiply matrices to get our answers. Okay, so this is where on another aspect where we can use matrices. And the other thing is in graphics. Okay, so when we are doing graphics and you are doing animations, okay, when we zoom in, when we move, when we do any animations, it is multiplication which is working. Okay, so this is why we use matrices. And the other thing is in data transformations in IA and ML, in machine learning, something like that. When we transform data from one position to another, we can say that we use matrix multiplication. Okay, so that was that on our lesson. Make sure you're subscribed so that you don't miss the next part where we're going to be using this multiplication in these applications. Please make sure you're in touch and make sure you're subscribed. Thank you.